Hi everyone, this is Tammy with Life Began in a Garden. In today's video, we are going to be making a gardener's journal, or at least the cover of it. I will show you how to do the whole cover, front and back, and then in two future videos, which will be the next two videos that I do, I will show you how to do the pages and how to do all the add-ins. I'm so grateful to my sister Donna, who gave me this catalog. I absolutely love this catalog. It's actually a 2005, but it looks like it's much older. And this is the gardener's journal that I will be using the cover from and part of the pages from to do my own gardener's journal. So my journal is going to flip open from the bottom up instead of from the side over. This is showing you how the book looks once it's finished. The stenciling part that's on there that says Gardener's Journal is also part of a future video. But right now we're just doing the basics of the cover and decorating the cover except for the stenciling. This is how the journal is going to look on the inside once we're finished today. The belly band there that you see in the middle, we do have to get it sewn in today, but I will show you in the video that has the add-ins how to actually make it. So I decided to use some of the inside pages to do the cover, or the inside of the cover. And the cover of the catalog itself is what I use to do the front and back of it. Here you see the Gardener's Journal book that I'm redoing, and I just painted a base coat on it. And it's just one coat. You can see the lines. I just wanted to get enough on there that color didn't show through. Okay, in this next step, I'm going to be painting the very top part of the book, and I'm using Dutch Aqua, and also after I have brushed it on, I'm going back over it while it's still wet with some parchment colored paint and some khaki colored paint, and I'm mixing them all together to try to get the color that I'm looking for, which is the color that's on the top of that catalog page, the front page. It's got kind of a sky border up there at the top of it, and I'm wanting to try to match that as closely as I can. So this blue that I'm putting on is just the base coat so that I can go over it with the other colors to kind of dull it down and age it some. And there I am finishing it. And then once I get that brushed on, then I'll start the other two colors, and I'm putting them on at the same time and also mixing in some more of that blue when I feel like I've got too much in one area of the brown or the cream color. Then I mix in some more blue with it. So you just have to kind of play with this, and it takes a little while to get it where you want it at, but if you have your page up there or whatever it is that you're trying to match, a sample of it, like that book there, or that catalog cover. So as you can see on the top part of that catalog cover, that color that's there is the color that I'm trying to match, the sky that's showing on it. And so it takes a little while to dull this down to get it to where I want it at. So I'm not showing you every step that I make with it, but I'm showing you where I'm starting at and how I'm putting the paint on. And then I just keep dabbing it on like that, and I go over the whole thing, and then I go back over it again and actually do it several times to try to get the color I want. But as you can see there, it's getting very close to the color that's on the cover of the catalog. And so once that's done, then I just leave it like that, and you can see when I push that up there to it, it's very close to what I want. And I'm not sure that I can get it any closer than it is there. And so here it shows I aged around the top of it some, and I wanted to go ahead and do that before I do this step. And with this step, I am attaching the front and back cover of the seed catalog to the front and back of my journal. And this is Mod Podge, and I'm brushing it on the front and the back outside parts of the journal. And you need to put kind of a heavy coat. Don't have it just laying there on it like globs of it, but make it pretty heavy so that there's a good amount there to attach the paper to. And what's different in this than what you may have seen in other videos, or different than anything that you might have done, is that once I brush this on here and I cover the front of this and the back of this, then I leave it overnight, just laying there on the desk. I leave it laying there to dry. And you do need to leave it overnight so that it has a good time to completely dry. And that's what I do with this. And then the next part of this will be showing you how I attach the catalog cover to the book while the Mod Podge is actually dry. Okay, so both of them are covered, and now you just leave it there and let it dry overnight. And now we're attaching the front and back cover of the catalog to the front and back of the journal. So you just line it up. As you can see on the far left-hand corner there, I have already attached the front. And so I'm showing you how to do the back, and of course you would do the same thing to the front. So you line up your paper or whatever you're using, line it up where you want it at on your journal cover. And that's what I'm doing there, just trying to get it exactly even to where I want it to be at. And then that is parchment paper that I'm placing over the top of it. And that is an iron that is set on medium high. And I am not removing any of the clip of this video where I'm ironing it on, because I want you to see how I do it and the amount of time that it takes to iron the cover on. And what the iron is doing is that the heat from it is reactivating the Mod Podge, and it's making it adhere to the catalog page. And it does a really smooth job with it. You need to make sure that you get all of the edges and the corners as good as you can. Make sure you run over them with the iron several times, because that would be the biggest stress point on where this might start to come undone. So go over them as good as you can, and then when you feel like that you've got it where you need it at, and then it's all been gone over very well, then you would stop and remove the parchment paper. So I'm trying to make sure I get the middle too, and if you move your iron back and forth like this, it helps to get out any air bubbles that might be in it. But this gives the smoothest finish that I've ever seen using Mod Podge. And this is actually the very first time that I have done this, other than that I did the front cover. But when I rub over it there, it is so smooth. It's actually perfect. It looks like that book cover came with that on it. So I really love the results of it. And as you can see there on the edges, I have not folded it over to the inside yet, but that's the next step that we'll be doing. I just want you to see how it did with adhering to the front and back. Okay, so now we're going to be folding over the edges. And if your edges are too long, you can trim it down some, but you do need to leave a decent amount there, at least an inch maybe. If you have that much to leave, then leave about that much all the way around, so you have plenty enough to pull it in. And then when you put the cover on the inside of your book, you're not going to have to go right to the edge, because this is going to cover it also. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you'll see when we start doing it. So anyway, I'm going to show you just the beginning of how I do this part. And probably if I was willing to let this sit overnight again, I could brush the Mod Podge on, let it cure overnight, and then iron this part down. But it seems like it would be hard to get the edges on it, so I didn't even want to try it that way with this part. Plus, this is really easy and quick to do. So I decided to just go ahead and brush this part on and fold the edges up myself, just to make sure that there was enough glue there and that the edges were covered like they need to be. So I don't know if you have any old catalogs sitting around, but if you do, seed catalogs, if you do, get them out and go through them and see if you could make yourself or a member of your family or a friend or someone, make them a gardener's journal similar to this to give as a gift, or for you to use yourself. I love how this journal is turning out. I think this catalog made a beautiful gardener's journal. And that catalog company is still in business. This catalog was actually produced in 2005. So that's really not that old. They are still out there, and they're still making catalogs. And if you go to their website, you can actually order a catalog, and it would be the 2024 catalog, but you could use parts out of it. And I don't know, I did go there and order one, but it didn't show me what the catalog would look like, the front cover. So I'm not sure what I'm going to get. But I also Googled any other catalog company that I could find, and I ordered a seed catalog from them as well. So I think I have 5 different seed catalogs ordered, and they're all free. All you got to do is just give them your name and address, and they send you the catalog because they want you to buy seed from them. And I very well may buy seed from each of them, but definitely I will be buying some seed because I prefer to get my seed through a catalog than in department stores. I just feel like it's a better quality of seed. So anyway, if you don't have a seed catalog and would like to try this, then order your catalog, and you can be working on the parts that you don't need the catalog for while you're waiting on them. Okay, so I'm just about finished with this part, and like I said, all you do is just fold the edges down, kind of dog-ear the corners, and make sure it's got good adhesion and that everything's covered good. And then once you've got it the way you want it, then move on to the other side. I'm not going to be showing on this video how to do both sides, because I think really I've already shown enough for you to understand what you need to do here. Okay, this is showing how to do the corners. and you just fold them down so that you're kind of making a dog ear effect, I guess. And it'll make your corners line up with each other as you fold the next side up. Okay, and it should look something like this. As you see, that's nowhere near perfect, but what is there will be covered once we put the inside part on. So I hope you're enjoying this so far, and I hope that you're liking this catalog. And even if this isn't quite your style, I'm going to be showing you all the things that you need to put in these journaling catalogs if you are a gardener. Okay, so now I'm showing you how to do the spine of the book, because the book that I was using as my cover, the spine wasn't as wide as I wanted it to be, so I'm trying to make it be a little wider. And so I already did the spine, and the video did not take. I guess I forgot to push to turn it on or something. So I'm just making another one here. This is not the right size for my journal, but I'm just kind of showing you what I did. So it's using 2 pieces of cotton fabric and Mod Podge and a strip of cardstock that is the thickness that you're trying to make your journal be, and also the width and the length, but also as thick as you can get it and still be able to make your holes in it that puts the string through that holds the journal pages in. So this one, the one I'm using there, that's not as thick as it should be, so use something thicker than what I showed there. That is a piece of cardstock, but it's a very thin one, and you probably need something about 3 times as thick as one side of a manila folder is. So maybe the thickness of a cereal box, the cardboard that it has, something like that would be good. Okay, so I'm just using Mod Podge, and I'm gluing that cardstock in between the 2 layers of cotton, and you glue it all over, front and back. And then once I've got it glued front and back, then I lay it on a piece of plastic and just leave it there and let it dry. And that's going to take at least several hours to dry before you can move on to your next step. Make sure when you're putting the Mod Podge on there that you glue in between the sides of the layers of fabric so that you're gluing them to each other. And then once you've got it the way you want it and you've got it glue all over all of it, then just, like I said, lay it on a piece of plastic, something that it won't glue onto as it's drying, and just leave it there and let it dry. Okay, so this is it after it is dry. It looks a little stiff because the Mod Podge does make it a little stiff, but it's still very workable. And that's the string that I use to string through there so that I can attach my pages later. And that is wax coated, so it makes it very strong. Even though it's thin, I want it as thin as I could get, but still very strong. And so I'm using an embroidery needle, and you poke holes in your spine. And even in this one, it was really hard to get those holes in there, but it is very doable. Just poke them through, and then once you get the hole in there, then string your thread through. And the way that you string the thread through is for the length of the book, of that spine there, you're going to put For each signature of pages, you're going to put 3 holes. One is going to be a 1/2 inch in from the outer edge of your spine on the top and the bottom, and the other hole will be in the very center of your spine. So when you're threading it, you go through the whichever one you're doing on the edge. So whether it's on the right or the left, you go from the top down through it to the back part of it, and then come back up in the center. And I know I'm a little off camera there, but as you can see there, it's going down there, and as you're pulling it through, make sure that you hold on to that tail, the end of the string, so that you don't pull the whole thing through. So I just hold it down with my thumb like that, and then I'm going back up, which again is off camera, but I'm going back up through the center. And so each signature of pages will have 2 strings with it. Both will be coming up through the center, but one will be tied to itself, and then the other one will be tied to itself. And then you also, because I'm using 3 signatures in my journal, I'm doing that step that I just did 3 times. So each area there will be 3 holes at the left, 3 at the center, and 3 at the bottom. And it'll look like that when it's done. So once you've done that, then just tape all of your thread down there so that you don't end up pulling it out, and so that it's kind of out of your way. Tape it to itself in there. And then I'm using E6000 glue to adhere this. And I'm using that because Mod Podge is not going to be nearly strong enough to hold the strain that could end up being on this binding here. So I put a lot of the glue on there. Make sure that you get the edges, the top and bottom, and the center. So it ended up being 4 strips of glue going all the way down, and then 1 across each side. And then I put the ruler there and clamped it down until it dried. So now I'm showing you how to sew. This is going to be the inside cover of the front of the journal. And I'm gluing, well, I'm not gluing, we already glued the pages down. I'm doing a zigzag stitch all the way around the page, and that's just because it reinforces it, but also just for looks. I love the zigzag stitch, and I love it how it looks on paper. And the thing that you see there in the center is called a belly band, and I have to put it in at this stage because I'm fixing to glue this down, and it needs to be sewn in before I glue this down onto the journal. And so even though I'm not showing how to make this belly band in this video, it will be in the one that shows how to do the add-ons. I'll show you in there how to make the belly band. But the belly band is going to hold some journaling material that I'm going to be adding in there. And so if I just glued it down, I'm afraid it wouldn't be strong enough, and I want it sewn in. So that's why you're seeing it now instead of seeing it later. And so you just sew all the way around with a zigzag stitch. And then once I have gone all the way around, I go back and in the very center of that belly band, I do a straight stitch to stitch it down to the book in the center. And that's because I want 2 pockets there, kind of. I know it's called a belly band, but I want 2 separate places to slide things in at. Okay, so here on this part is where I'm sewing the straight line down, pretty much down the center of that belly band. And I'm putting my pieces in there that I'm going to be adding into the journal. I'm putting them in there so that I can see where I need that straight stitch line to be at. And I seem to be having trouble getting that in there. So I want both pieces in because that creates a little bit of thickness, and I need to know how much it's going to create before I sew it. So like I said, you're just sewing one straight line. Make sure that you do your back stitch at the beginning and at the end, because these things that I'm adding into the belly band put a little bit of pressure on that area, so you need to make sure that it's going to hold and the thread's not going to start coming undone. Okay, so now that's sewn. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And the picture that's on the middle of that belly band is actually something that I tore out of one of the pages, off of one of the pages from that seed catalog. And then I just antiqued around it, and I used the Mod Podge to glue it on there. And it's actually, it's staying very well. I mean, it doesn't look like I'm going to have any problem with it at all, with it coming off of the fabric. Okay, so now we're going to be attaching the inside covers to the front and the back. And this one is going on the front of the journal. And then the one that's going on the back of the journal also has the belly band on it, but it's just a wide strip of lace that's sewn across it instead of up and down. So to glue this down, you use Mod Podge all around the center, like that, from the zigzag stitch in, do Mod Podge. And then all around the edges, use the E6000 glue, because that is a stronger hold, and those edges will try to pull up before that middle would. So you do both sides like that, Mod Podge in the middle part and E6000 all the way around the edges, and make sure you pay close attention to those corners and you get them glued down. And then once you've done that, put some weight on it, like some heavy books or something, and let it sit overnight. Okay, these are the add-ons that I put in that I made that belly band for. That one is a garden plan, and there were several of these in the gardener's journal that I took apart. Remember, I told you I was going to use the cover, and I was also going to use parts of the inside of it. That's one of the parts of it, and that's where you draw out your plan for how you're going to lay out your garden. And then this next one holds a lot of information, and it is it's very long. It's actually 2 book pages out of that book that I have sewn together, and it records so many things that you do in the garden. This is a very helpful one to have, and I actually have several of these, maybe 3 of them, left over from that book. And if you will be making one of these journals, a gardener's journal, and you would like to have one of these, if you will text the word gardener's journal, just that, nothing else, just the word gardener's journal in a text in this video, I will do a drawing in the next video, and I will do it while I'm doing the video. And whoever's name I draw out, I will send you one of these so that you can add it to your gardener's journal. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. May God bless you and your family.